One of the greatest complaints among parents and educators today is that our teens are not making wise choices. As a teen communicator, I've now spoken to about 100,000 students all over the nation in schools in candy cane land and some of the lowest performing schools in the country. I've spoken to students who have been through suicide, who have been depressed and going through abuse at home and all sorts of issues. Unfortunately, this is exactly how they're coming into the classroom. Unsocialized, some of them violent, and just with all of life's baggage. And right now, it's no secret that educators and teachers have some of the toughest jobs in America right now. I mean, we're expected to teach the unruly, the unsocialized. We're expected to be the counselors, the referees, the surrogate parent, and oh, by the way, teach. And on my travels going to different schools back and forth, what I've noticed is that a lot of educators are experiencing burnout. With all of the school politics, the disrespectful students, and the chaotic classrooms, it's really enough to make you just want to quit. Well, I'm here today to tell you that there is hope. Getting through to teens really is not rocket science. So what I want to share with you today over our next couple of minutes together are just two really quick strategies that you can take right now and use tomorrow morning in your classroom. This isn't going to be something that you have to rework charts or map out. It's actually real life strategies that I used in classrooms that can actually work by Monday morning. You can have a brand new classroom by Monday morning. The strategies that I'm going to show you, I've been to schools all across the nation. I've spoken in assemblies, in classrooms, and you know what some of the counselors and teachers tell me? They say, okay, Jared, this group of 700 students or this group of 30 students in this classroom, they are unruly, they're unsocialized, they're disrespectful, they never listen. So I don't know if you know what you got yourself into, but good luck. And I will literally get in the classroom or get in the mic in that big 700-seater auditorium, and I'll do these two strategies that I'm about to show you, and literally it's like magic. You can hear a pin drop in the room. The students are with me. They're paying attention. They laugh when I tell a joke. They respond and they clap when I say something good. And they literally walk out of the door seemingly to have a life change. So I'm gonna share these two things with you. I promise you, and I don't make many promises, but if you do these two things I'm about to share with you, these strategies, you will change the entire ecology of your classroom. All right, you ready? Here we go. So number one, connect. You want to connect with your students. Listen, the smartest teachers that I know around the country, they have the most respectful classrooms where students are learning and they're having fun learning. They're respectful. They do this one thing, connect. You know that 2-week period when school first starts? They typically call this the honeymoon period. That's when you're just kind of doing the dance back and forth with your students. You're kind of getting to know them a little bit. You're sharing stories. This is one of the smartest things that my best teachers actually do. They share stories with their students. So on Monday morning, just one day out of the week, they'll open up their class with a story. Now here's the best kind of story that you can tell your students. Tell your students a story about a time that you screwed up. That you actually made an embarrassing mistake, but you went back and you made up for it. And then you push it back on them and you say, now here's why you should as well. It's amazing. This is one of the simplest things that you can do, but it's hard to do as well. Because as the judge and the jury of our classrooms, it's really tough to be transparent and open and human. I guarantee you though, when you do this even to an unruly classroom, you will hear a pin drop. And right there in that moment, what that does is it starts to call up some honesty in them as well. And it actually opens up the room for dialogue and honest discussion. And right there, what you've done is you just created a small window where you can now impart some wisdom, where you can now impart a lesson of some sort. Right then, your kids are with you. Let me tell you, this is really simple, but it is hard to do. It's hard to be open and transparent. But let me tell you, the kids that are coming to us nowadays, they're unsocialized, they're disrespectful. It is going to take connection, it's going to take authenticity, it's going to take relationship in order to get through to them. Here's the deal. When you communicate with your classroom, are you connecting with them or are you just talking at them? Here's the deal. Most teens are just used to being talked to or just talked at. You want to create relationship and connect. So here's what it looks like. Sit down, shut up, hey, pull up your pants. You guys never listen, you guys are so disrespectful. Here's the thing, when you put those kinds of labels on students, do you understand that over time, they have no choice but to subconsciously live up to those labels that you give them? So over time, what you're then gonna have are disrespectful students who don't show up on time, who don't pull up their pants, and that's what you've got. They live up to the name that you give them. But that's number one. You want to connect. The smartest teachers with the most respectful and best classrooms in America, they do this. They connect, they tell stories, and they're transparent. They're human. So that's number one. So let's go on to step number two. You still with me? So number two is really simple. This is the last one. Support. Every student needs a level of support that, it's so simple that we really have neglected to give it to them. Here's the deal. The best way to communicate to a teen is through what they care about, not what we think they should care about. They tune us out in ways that we don't even realize. So here it is. Every student in your classroom is individually unique, whether you know it or not, and whether they know it or not. And the best thing that we can do for them is to support them in the direction of their positive passions. So here's what I want you to start doing. Start taking a notice at some of the positive passions and interests that your students actually have. And over time, start to encourage them in the area of those positive passions. Best way to communicate to a teen is through the things that they care about. The thing is, every teen has some sort of dream of what they want to become one day, of what they aspire to be. Every last one of them has that. And in a lot of cases, what we don't understand as educators is that one dream or desire for their future is usually the most powerful thing that they have to hold on to. And when we take that away from them, they're lost. Think back to the time when you were 5 years old. That time of life when we felt like there was nothing that we couldn't do. And it was like one day we were going to be an astronaut and fly to the moon, or we were going to be a ballerina or a ninja or even a pilot and fly all around the world. Those dreams that we used to have as kids. And then over time we start to come into something called reality, and then we kind of lose that. Well, every teen still has some sort of dream inside of them. No matter how unrealistic it is, one of the best things that we can do is recognize them for their individual talents, their dreams, and their potentials, and actually encourage them in that direction. And one of the worst things that we can do is to criticize them for the dreams or the goals that they actually have. So even if that dream that they have is unrealistic, best thing we can do is support them in that direction. When we support them in that direction, that looks like maybe helping them do some research, actually digging into what it's going to take to make that dream happen. When we do that, that dream then becomes a vision. And here it is. When a teen has a solid vision for their life, what they can do, what they have the skills for, and what they can actually become, that vision is powerful enough to ultimately repel substances. Now, substances can be drugs and alcohol, abuse, bad relationships, and just bad choices altogether. And ultimately, that's really what we want, is for them to make independent, positive choices on their own. But usually they will only do this if they have a strong, solid vision for their life, and ultimately caring adults who support that. Which one are you? So this is what I want to leave you with. There is no such thing as a bad kid, but there are bad choices. One of the easiest ways that we can repel those bad choices is 1, connect, and number 2, support. Supporting them in the area of their positive passions. Listen, this is how you can become one of their favorite teachers. In the long run, most students aren't going to remember lesson plans or things that they learned in chapter 5 or 6 of their textbooks, but they will always remember the stories that you told them and the wisdom that you imparted right after that. Listen, I've got so much more that I want to share with you, but not enough time today. So what I want you to do, I want you to join me in my journey to help teens understand their individual potentials and make wise choices. The way that you can do that, sign up at my website at jaredspeaks.com. Just drop your email address down in there on the bottom of my website, and I want you to stay in touch with me. Make a comment on this video. Share it with other educators and caring parents and adults that you know. I want you to join me on this journey to help teens understand their individual potentials and make wise choices. Talk to you soon.